On that note, I did want to touch on thoughts, and one of my favorite books is As a Man Thinketh. I read it twice a year or so. What do you think about how thoughts create reality and how they control reality?
I mean, everything originates in the mind. You know, the idea is what inspires the opportunity for you to get up and pursue a business. The inspiration that you observe and you think about, and when you observe an athlete win, and that inspires you to endeavor and work hard and become an athlete yourself. Everything originates in the mind. That's why the system is after your mind. You know, from the moment you're born, they start indoctrinating you with the school system. They indoctrinate you with, you know, what's important, what's not important. They attribute your self-worth and your value to what you have to give to the system as opposed to who you are as an individual. So when I begin to evaluate kind of the entirety of how society works, most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance. And they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract. Because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. So it's all a cyclical loop. Mm-hmm. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing: the ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective, and then to have the willpower to pursue it. Most people, obviously, don't know where they're going because they never have a goal. You need to have a clear goal. If you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going to go in life. If I ask you today, what's your financial goal for this year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? Would you be able to answer? Would you be able to say, yeah, this is my goal? And I'm not talking about how many millions of dollars you want to have. I'm talking about the positioning. What type of business are you going to have that's going to generate cash flow? What type of investments do you want to have? You need to be able to be very specific about the life that you want, about who you want to become. Mindset, your ability to develop thoughts, is extremely important because your thoughts dictate and create your reality. Thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to behaviors, and behavior leads to lifestyle.
Agreed. And I think you touched on a point there, how people think a lot of it is down to luck. And I think that's what they call external locus of control, right? Whereas people who are positioned correctly, such as yourself, have an internal locus of control, which means they believe they have more control over reality than most people. Do you think your thoughts are even your own?
No. I mean, the thoughts that you capture, whether you believe it or not, are based off of your surroundings, your environment, and your programming. You and I can both look at one thing, an object, and have two completely different set of thoughts based off of our programming, based off of our upbringing, based off of our behavior. You could look at a flag and feel disgusted. I could look at a flag and be like, I feel patriotic. It all depends on the context. So many times the thoughts that we have are not our own, but it doesn't mean that that thought is necessarily bad. What a person must do is look at the thought and ask themselves, is this thought legitimate? Is this thought valid? Does it serve me? Mm-hmm. Not whether it's right, whether it's wrong. Like sometimes when I was broke, you know, I would invite myself to a nice dinner. My mind would tell me, hey, like you can't afford that. Like you shouldn't be going out. But then I said, well, I want to experience this because if I experience it, I'll be able to want it more. Mm-hmm. How am I supposed to want something that I haven't experienced? Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, let me experience a nicer dinner. And now I have something to work towards. Well, I want more of this experience. What I've come to realize about mindset and thoughts, and then I want to ask you about what you think about it, is not only that it originates from your context and your environment, but it also comes from how you position yourself. Mm-hmm. The environment, the friends, the music, the food, all these things are choices that you get to make that, once again, are a factor to all the components that are taking place to develop, you know, free thinking or develop a worldview, but it's definitely important. What do you think?
I think the mind acts as a radio receiver, and the frequency to which you tune it determines the quality of thought you receive. So if you're tuned into a negative radio station and the avenue to do that is through your programming.
So once again, how do you tune the radio station?
Yeah, awareness, I believe, like you said
How
earlier.
do you develop awareness?
I think there's a lot of ways, but I always go back to meditation.
So action.
Yeah.
Right, so it all comes down to how you behave.
Yeah.
How you behave dictates and controls the quality of your thoughts, because it's what dictates how you position yourself. So it all comes down to action. That's why life, there's formulas and recipes to success, which is what I talk about.
Yeah.
You know, there's ways to win. When I meet entrepreneurs, I can tell whether they're going to succeed or not based off of the patterns and behaviors that they instill and that they showcase in their life. Mm-hmm. I know people that are going to lose in life and people that are going to win based off of what? Their behavioral patterns. Mm-hmm. Patterns repeat themselves all across the universe. Yeah. So we understand that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you see somebody inputting negative behaviors, you can very much dictate what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Once again, if you understand these things, you begin to act in accordance to that which you want. Mm-hmm. And the mindset isn't something that you have to have turned on all the time. That's what people neglect. The mindset is just supposed to direct you. And once you have the direction, you just have to go. Mm-hmm. Most people, once again, they don't set the direction and they don't have the steps on how to get there. That's why mentors are important. That's why community is important. That's why understanding and surrounding yourself with people that are older and more experienced is important, because it's going to give you the data sets and the information in order to navigate.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Who would you become if your goals were attainable? What if that self-induced fear and that disbelief was instantly gone? What would you go after? What girl would you date? What type of man would you become? How much money would you have? What sort of business would you endeavor? What sort of impact would you bring to the world? You must be able to dream in order to achieve. And the truth is, most individuals, they don't move forward. They don't move forward because they don't have goals. They don't move forward because they don't have objectives. They don't move forward because fear cripples them. Fear is holding them back from winning. Fear is holding them back from becoming the best version of themselves. So once again, I ask you, what would you do if you couldn't fail? If you only live once, you best go for it. What is there to lose? At the end of the day, we all die anyway. So might as well go down trying. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." When you speak to yourself, when you spend time alone, do you analyze who you are? Do you think about who you want to become? Or are you just guided by the ebbs and flows and the things of the world, or the things that are tossed to you by culture? Or do you have an anchor? Do you have some sort of reference point that you utilize as a beacon of truth? Because what you think about dictates your reality. Let me explain. I've said it once, but I'll say it again, that your thoughts lead to actions, and actions lead to behaviors, and behaviors lead to lifestyle, and that your lifestyle dictates your destiny. So we reverse engineer that. Ultimately, your thoughts dictate your destiny. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now the question is, how do you change the way that you think? Well, you have to change the input. You have to change the things that you allow yourself to be nurtured by. This isn't just food, right? But it's what you listen to, who you hang out with, what you do with your hands, with your eyes and your ears, that nurture your spirit, or they take away. They build your character, or they destroy your innocence. And you know the things that I'm talking about, the things that are holding you back, the things that are pushing you away from your fullest potential. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Who do you want to be? And what must you sacrifice in order to become that person? Do you meditate day and night about those goals and those objectives and that dream life that you want? Or do you settle for the things of the world? You settle for the things of the system. You settle for the things that have been given to you, but they don't belong to you. You've been told how to think. You've been told what a man is. You've been told what a woman is, but you've never even actually explored who you are. Maybe you should think more. Henry Ford famously said that the hardest job in the world is to think, hence why most people don't engage in it. So as I speak to you, I actually speak to myself. I often do these exercises where I just think out loud and I try to synthesize my ideas in a way that are clear. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The input will dictate the output. The input will dictate your character. The input will dictate your desires, because your desires only grow based off of what you feed. So the question is, what do you feed your mind? What do you feed into the stream of consciousness that you tap into every single day? When you wake up, what is it that you desire, my friend? Do you desire things that push you closer to God, closer to your goals, or that push you away? If the answer is, it's pushing me away, then it's time to change. Because at the end of the day, the only person that you're hurting is yourself, so you might as well develop healthy thinking patterns, healthy ways of experiencing life, so you maintain your purity and your innocence. And through that, you allow God to work and to show you the beauties of this world. I've always thought about traveling the world. I've always thought about enjoying the beauty of creation. And here I am in my 20s doing exactly that. I thought who I wanted to become. I developed those thoughts in the three-dimensional world through manifestation and through action, and with a little bit of faith and a little bit of effort and a lot of belief, turn dreams into a reality. As a man thinketh, so is he. The truth is, most people think that they are stronger than they actually are. Let me explain what I mean. The people you surround yourself with, the environments, the music you listen to, the food that you eat, the advice that you adhere to, all these things influence you. Have you never been around somebody who's extremely negative? Don't you literally feel that energy bouncing? And it feels pretty nasty. Your surroundings, the people that you position yourself with, will dictate your future. Are your friends elevating you? Is your family pushing you forward? Are your circles and where you hang out designed to propel you to accomplish your goals? Because what doesn't add subtracts. What doesn't give to you takes away. So you must nurture yourself and position yourself in a situation where you win. Position yourself to win. Make it so hard to lose that it becomes easy to win. Your environments, your friends, your decisions will dictate your future. Pick wisely, and the world is yours for the taking.